It's starting. Hey, everybody! Welcome to Babetalk, everyone. As you may notice, I am not a bearded black man. Sadly, Ali is
Not with that attitude.
Bearded black man.
I am. Ali is at the Atlantic City Nightlife Awards. I believe it is for. Yeah, that's a real thing. But the 1787 Collective got nominated, so Ali is going to be representing the punk scene down there for tonight. But I'm going to be hosting tonight. If you guys don't know me, my name is James. I do a lot more site work, and I'm occasionally on some of your podcasts here. And you know what? I'm going to keep it in the spirit. So everyone, tonight we have John Gahllager from Nice Shot Kid. They're a really cool pop punk band from Long Island, New York. They're blowing up. They just went on a really successful tour. They sold out their hometown. It's been a really good 2 weeks for them. And so let's just, we also, wow, I am word vomiting today. I am not used to hosting this thing.
You can do it.
You're doing great.
But, so we also have the lovely Melissa.
Hello.
And making his grand return to the Babetalk podcast, we have Eric Navarro.
It's good to be back.
It has been way too long. Eric's been busy being a father.
It's such a mistake. Don't ever do it.
Oh, God.
Duly noted.
I just spent 20 minutes cuddling her, being like, "You're the greatest thing in my life." Can't wait to make fun of you for an hour.
My parents still cuddle me and say that to me.
So does my mom. They're like, "Mom, what are you doing? Get away."
Yep. Yeah. But normally on Babe Talk, we always start the show off by asking everyone how was their day. And let's start off with our grand guest today, John.
My day was pretty good. I worked all day, so I'm a little tired, but overall, can't complain.
Awesome. Was there anything interesting that happened today or in the past few days?
Never.
Never.
Nothing happens to me ever. But no, it was a solid day. I've been kind of reeling since we got back from tour. So this was the first day I actually got back into the real world and did something with my life.
Damn. No, but I feel you. I mean, you've been on tour for the past 2 weeks, so the adjustment always has to come,
it's not
even if
easy.
it's like a little mundane.
Yeah.
10 days.
10 days of hell living with 9 other dudes. 8 other dudes. That's how many other people were there?
Enough.
Yeah.
No. All right. What about the lovely Melissa? How was your day?
Unfortunately, it was one of those days where you're just like, somebody should have called up to be like, "Melissa, eat a Snickers. You're not you when you're hungry."
You.
I was so crabby all day.
Were you Danny Trejo?
No, oh my gosh, I don't even know what my deal was or what was up my butt. I think it was because I was tired, and I just wanted to lay in bed all day. It was one of like those days. I mean, obviously I want to do that all the time, but no, actually what it was is I had other priorities, and I couldn't do said priorities because I had to make money.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. So.
But the real question is, does Roseanne Barr play you when you're not hungry? I mean, when you're not you.
Nah. I don't get hangry.
Jesus, I do. Oh my God.
Oh my God. All right, so we also have our resident father here, Eric. So how was your day today? I know
Pretty
you
good. I'm going to be brief, but I had a crazy 3 days, like back. Well, the first, and I guess it was 4 days ago, I had my 100th episode of my podcast that you were on, James, that you made a guest appearance.
Someone said that I looked like Phillips. It was of time.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we a lot of ball busting, a lot of 20 guests, and I got an email the next morning. The one no-show I had was Jesse Cannon, and he sent me an email the next day, and he was like, "Dude, I am so sorry I fell asleep." And I was like, "That's okay. Come on anytime." And then yesterday I put out an acoustic punk cover EP of a bunch of indie rock songs, and in the last 24 hours, it's gotten almost 1,000 plays. So I'm like, that's pretty sweet.
Oh, damn, that's a lot.
And then today, I officially got word that my first article for the Hard Times is going to go up in the next couple weeks. It's all done.
Yes!
I've been a staff writer for months, and I finally got something on. I'm so happy. Anyway, great tidings over here. I'm very happy.
Am I allowed to ask for a sneak preview of what your Hard Times article might be?
Yeah.
Oh, off air, I will tell you all sorts of stuff.
Oh, man. You know, I just remember a time a while back where, I don't know if Eric was involved or not, but I just remember me and a bunch of friends were, like, just posting a bunch of possible Hard Times articles, and I think the one that I came up with that I was really proud of was Hardcore Kid 75% sure that alternative girl with piercings is into hardcore music.
Oh my gosh, I love the Hard Times.
And I heavily considered sending that to them via. They have like a submit thing email.
You should. That's how it took me 3 tries of these major submissions before they got me into their like writer's room, and then it took me 500 other submissions before I got something on. It's like they're an amazing site, and the reason why is because they have like dozens of people submitting like 50, 60 things a day, and they only put out like 5 articles a week. So it's just so hard to like, I don't know, it's a great site. I'm such a big fan. But James, how are you doing today? How was your day?
Oh, I love how the natural hosting ability that I don't have is just shining.
You segued right into you. It was pretty good.
My day has been pretty boring. It's my second day of classes, so it's just syllabus week, so nothing really major is happening. But the most important thing that happened, one of our editors that you may have seen on the podcast before, her name is Carly, bought me a shirt for my birthday a few months ago, but I never ended up getting it until today. And
That's such a cool shirt.
I love it.
The best shirt.
I just remember calling her like when it happened, and we were just like, I completely forgot you bought me a gift. You literally fought with UPS on the phone over this, and it's finally here. But enough about me. Enough about my mundane shirt. Tonight, we obviously have John of Nice Shot Kid. So we're about to jump into the interviewing portion of the section. Each of us are going to ask you some questions, and the way I see it, it's going to be me, then it's going to be Eric, and then it's going to be Melissa, and then it's just going to rotate until the portion is basically complete.
That's good.
But I'm going to start off by asking you, for those who don't know, who are you, what do you do in Nice Shot Kid, and like, just tell us a little bit about your band.
My name's John. I sing for Nice Shot Kid. We started out as a pop punk band. We're still a pop punk band, but since over the last couple of years, I say we've gotten progressively heavier and heavier. And a couple of years ago, our original guitarist had left the band to just pursue other things. And our friend Saeed, who we met through school, through Stony Brook, is a big metalcore junkie. Listens to a lot of Periphery, listens to a lot of North Lane, and kind of in the writing process wrote his influences into that. And I think those have kind of stuck with us since. Saeed unfortunately had to quit the band due to personal reasons, but we've kind of followed suit with that and kind of stuck with that sound for a while. So.
Right.
It's a weird combination.
Awesome.
But
So the other question that I have in mind for now, though, is you guys recently went on this amazing 2-week tour with another fellow Long Island band called Makeshift. That is another great band that everyone listening should listen to. Wow, I am terrible at wording things. But how was that tour? Were there any notable experiences? Did you learn any lessons from it? Just like, how was that tour for you guys?
that tour, it was awesome. It was such a fun 10 days with some of the greatest dudes. We started out. I told this story every time we played that we knew Makeshift through a couple shows around Long Island. We ended up playing Warped Tour with them this year, which was great. And that's where I think we had the idea to do something with them in the winter. And we were all like a little weary about we don't really know them very well, and we became best friends with them in record time. So just like that kind of it was just that kind of connection we had right off the bat with them, and it was just very, very cool to experience that, especially with those guys, because they're such a, like you said, they're such a great band, they're such great dudes. So it was really cool to spend that time with them.
Great.
So just listening to the two songs that you have on your Bandcamp from Personal Space, niceshotkid.bandcamp.com. You should all go and check that out. And you can, but no, just listening to those, I thought it was a really cool mix because you have a clear, like you said in your past, a pop punk vibe, but you also have this kind of easycore revival, which is actually a thing now, which is cool because I don't know, I was always a big fan of that easycore sound, but where you guys really keep it unique is your vocals, is that you keep like kind of a classic punk and hardcore style of vocals, whereas classic or whatever you want to call it, easycore, typically either has like death metal vocals or like emo pop punk vocals. What gave you the idea to kind of just come at it from a straight up punk hardcore point of view?
You just gave away the sound of our next record because I was going to go straight to death metal. Great death metal, now I can't anymore.
Yeah, oh no.
So I guess just it's just the style that I'm used to. I guess I never sang before Night Shot Kid. This is the first band I've ever been a vocalist for. So it's just, you know, how I started out singing, and then, you know, from playing shows and doing more recordings, it's just how it really came to be, I guess. It never really it took off like that. And Tom, our bassist, has that kind of Tom is the loudest person you'll ever meet, ever, in any situation. So he kind of just has that yell to him as well, and we kind of adapted to each other that way. And our other guitarist, Matt, who does the other yelling vocals on Personal Space, he kind of found his voice later in life a little bit, and he was just like, all right, I'll just do it, and just screams. And it just sounds good, so we kind of just stuck with that. It's just kind of sticking with what we know.
Nice. So you said that you sold out your. I have like 10 questions, but I'll save them all. But so you said that you sold out your hometown show. Mm-hmm. How did that feel?
There's a video online somewhere of during one of the songs, I looked at my drummer and I wiped away like tears in my eyes, like, oh my god, this is actually happening. It was insane. It was the best. It was one of the best feelings I can remember in a long time. I think it's a mutual feeling between both bands too. We never ever thought that we would do something like that. And like AMH isn't that big of a venue. We know that. Like it's if anyone who's ever been to Amityville Music Hall, you know, it's a good sized venue, but it's not huge. So it's not like, you know, unheard of. But for a bunch of local bands to play it and just pack it out with all their friends and people that really care about them, it was just such an amazing experience that I'm never gonna forget.
Mm-hmm. How was the energy in the room? If you could describe the energy.
I don't want to use the word electric because that's just a cliche answer. I gotta think of like a really good answer.
It's acoustic.
Inflammatory. Inflammatory.
Inflammatory. That's good.
Oh God, hold on.
Incendiary. Is that another one?
Incendiary.
It was just like the paper mill. It was very dry.
Oh my God.
I think our guest has frozen a little bit.
Oh no.
A little bit. Uh-oh.
In the meantime,
okay. He looks good.
Frozen. When he comes back, if you want to ask Nice Shot Kid a question, feel free to ask them on our Twitter, Babetalk Show, and we have a tweet up basically asking for replies, and you can feel free to respond to them with some questions. And John is just kind of chilling, just kind of frozen right now. I'm going to, while I check up with him, while we're waiting for that.
Oh, I have a topic.
Good.
You have a topic. Go ahead.
So, Meek Mill and 50 Cent.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah, that's a thing. Yeah. I don't know how many of our viewers are familiar with rap beef, but Meek Mill has not been exactly doing that well in the rap realm of things. From Drake basically ruining his 2015, so now no memeing him.
How did Drake manage? I saw this. I forget what website it was, but somebody made a joke about like Meek Mill. How's Meek Mill gonna beat a guy who was shot 9 times when he couldn't beat a guy who was fake shot in a CW drama?
Oh my
Ooh,
god.
that's
Ouch.
Yep, I think.
Nothing ever is allowed to work for me, ever. I'm sorry.
The wallpaper behind you's working for you.
I don't know what that was. I'm so sorry that happened, guys. I apologize.
It's all good. We're talking about Meek Mill and 50 Cent now, and before we
I missed that.
I just
Still
want to
talk about
say one brief point before we wrap it up. I do have to commend Meek Mill for using the beef as an opportunity to donate water bottles and money.
Yes, that was awesome.
Because of their
Coming
water
from Michigan.
situation.
Yeah.
Meek Mill donated 60,000 water bottles as
That's
well
awesome.
as $50,000.
And
And I believe 50 Cent is planning to do the same.
Good.
And by the way, where is I don't know, Eminem and Kid Rock and ICP, every millionaire white rapper who has not donated to their home city-ish? Yeah. Or
Kinda
Michael
makes me look
Moore.
bad.
His whole thing is Flint, Michigan. Where the hell is that? I don't know.
Yeah, I know, right?
Well,
Anyway.
basically, shout out to Meek Mill, but
Yeah.
back to
I wish
the
I could have this
interview
conversation for the
questions.
rest of my life, but unfortunately.
Let's let Beth really
Oh, man.
unpack this.
One, we do have a shout out from one Rachel Solari that wants to say hi, John, before I ask my question.
Ain't nobody's
And
baby.
like I said before, if you have any questions, just respond to our tweet about asking some questions for the lovely John over here at Babetalk Show. But the one question I have for you right now is, are there any lessons that you've learned being in this band over the past few years?
I would definitely say so. I think we've just grown so much, not as like just, just not as just musicians, but as just like people in the Long Island scene. The scene is super, super supportive. And, when I first started going to shows, I didn't really see that right away. It felt really cliquey. It felt really, broken off. And I guess for Long Island, I'm sure that's the same for a lot of different places. But, there's just so much support, and it goes back to, what we were just saying before, God hated me for 2 seconds and disconnected me. What it was saying was, what I was saying was like, having so many people in that room that cared and supported that support you is just like such a incredible feeling. And I think one lesson that I can take from it is like, don't lose sight of that and don't take that for granted, because there's always going to be people that, there's always people that like don't really enjoy what you're doing, don't like what you're doing, don't really care about what you're doing, and on the other hand, there's going to be people that really, want you to succeed, want you to thrive, and want you to do well, and that's just something to always remember.
Awesome. That's a very poignant lesson to learn, especially from being in a band that's still on the come up and still has room to grow.
Now, you alluded to a couple of things that I found interesting. One, you said that this is the first band you did vocals in, and another is just your general attitude about the scene and touring, which seems like you're coming from a very mature and experienced place.
I wouldn't say that.
I don't know. I've met a lot of musicians, and you can usually tell the people who are in their first couple of years because they kind of have this naively cocky attitude that you seem to kind of be really cool about things. So that leads me to want to ask you, what's your history before Nice Shot Kid in the music scene, whether it's from going to shows or playing in bands? What did you do, and what was your experience like?
I went to like a bunch of different one band that I really, really, really loved when I was like first like a youngin', a little fetus in the Long Island scene was Patent Pending. Going to see Patent Pending.
Oh yeah.
That was my jam. That's what I would like. They would play the Crazy Donkey so much, and I was like 16 or 17 and didn't really understand the fact that they weren't famous. They were just big ass local band, and it was just awesome. So that's like the first, like the earliest memory I have of like the Long Island, like being in the Long Island music scene, was seeing Patent Pending at the Crazy Donkey like every other month when they would play there. I never really played in too many bands before Nice Shot Kid. I played bass in a band called Dear Tragedy that was active on Long Island up until recently. For like 4 or 5 years they were around. And that was the first band I really got started with and played bass for them. Not for too long, but that was my first taste of being in a band and playing shows. So,
how is playing an instrument and then going to singing impacted how you treat the band? Because I know that there's a lot of people who just sing and they've never played an instrument, and a lot of those singers don't have the same connection with the rest of their bandmates musically than singers who know how to play an instrument. Do you feel like playing an instrument changed the way you approach being in the band?
It's different for me because one thing is I fucking suck at bass. I'm so bad. I'm so bad at instruments. It's like it's not even funny. And I guess like I'm not saying that I'm a great singer, but it's just something that I guess I'm more adept to. But I think I have more of like I can't really compare it to anybody, but I have a lot of respect for the musicians behind me, for AJ and Tom and Matt and Jay for what they do, because I know that they're all so good at what they do. Like it's so hard to like put into words how good they are at their instruments. And I feel like if I hadn't played an instrument before that, I wouldn't have that same, especially if I didn't suck at it, I wouldn't have that same respect and like comprehension that I have for them now. But I just like they're the ones that make up the band, and it's just so cool to have them be so talented and so, just good at what they do behind me.
That's awesome. On the record, by the way, you can really tell they are extremely talented.
Yeah, they're mind blowing. Like it's crazy to watch.
And my last piece of this: do you help anyone carry equipment?
Yes, I do.
I can confirm that he helped people carry equipment. I have witnessed it.
100% do. I was funny. I went to when we played in Orlando just last week. My friend Mikey Amico, shout out Mikey Amico. Shout out Mikey Amico. He plays he's an acoustic artist goes by the name of Lightweight. And I've seen him once, like ever. I've only met him like once or twice, and we're hanging out like outside of the venue, and I'm loading stuff out, and he's like, "Wait, aren't you the singer?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "The singer that loads shit out?" I'm like, "Yeah, well, that's yeah, I guess."
It's very rare, and I knew it.
No, they will 100% get on my case and yell at me if I'm not doing anything. They will yell at me, so I have to do something.
No, that's really cool. It kind of shows professionalism as well, which I kind of want to segue from into Eric's question, kind of along the same lines. Nice Shot Kid in general seems to have a very professional outlook, and especially how you market and how you present yourself. It's very professional as compared to, other bands that I have seen. How has your professionalism progressed through like the origin of Nice Shot Kid to now?
I would say we're definitely just getting more used to the way things work. Just like seeing other bands do it, and just the way they, the way they'll make their posts on Facebook, the way they'll go about promoting their shows or whatever it might be. It's just, you just kind of get a feel for how it's done. You don't want to just be like, hey, come to this show, bye, you know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of like you need to really have, what's the word I'm looking for here, guys? Come on, help me out. I know it's there. It's like on the tip of my tongue.
Presence?
Presence is a good one. We'll go with presence. Yeah, you have to have this kind of like this presence of like, not just like your online demeanor, but just your demeanor at shows, your demeanor talking.
A relationship with your fans?
Relationship's good too. Yeah, just a bunch of words. There's so much crap out of it. You'll find it eventually, though, the word I'm looking for. But yeah, it's just, I think that, when we first started, we just didn't really know what we were doing, and we were just a bunch of kids. Well, kids, I'm old as shit, but when we first started, we were just a bunch of younglings just playing music and having fun. But then when we realized, playing shows and all that stuff, it comes with your demeanor. I think the word I was looking for was demeanor. Yeah, your demeanor kind of just develops, and you kind of just you get the feel for how it's really done.
Oh.
Not saying by any means that we take ourselves that seriously or professionally.
You're right. It's a bit
by any means at all, but that's.
It's like you want to be inclusive, but you don't want to feel like a salesman.
That is true.
You're riding that line where you want to be real people, but at the same time, you don't want to accidentally be a jerk. Like you have a responsibility. It makes sense.
No, I want to intentionally be a jerk.
Okay. Oh.
All right, so we actually got viewer questions, guys. Rachel Solari, the person that said hi before, wants to know a few things. One, she wants to know who in Nice Shot Kid has the worst parts. She wants to know who is the best cook.
Can we just Jay? It's just Jay. Jay is the first answer right there.
To both?
I don't know about cooking. Tom's a pretty good cook. Tom knows his way around a kitchen, for sure.
And the last part is, who is the best rapper in Nice Shot Kid?
Me.
Oh, no hesitation.
100.
You have. The question is, do you have bars to showcase on air right now?
Freestyle bars? I
Do
don't
you
have
the
any
bars?
bars. I don't have bars to like. Oh man, I can't give you like a freestyle right now or anything I've ever written.
Damn.
But, I'm sorry. I'm not that into it.
You got a mixtape? Mixtape?
Yeah, I'm dropping. Yeah, I am. I'm dropping it soon. Yep.
We will.
You're battling Meek Mill at this point.
Yeah. You're gonna be next on his radar.
Channeling my inner.
Okay, to be fair, Meek Mill can drop some fire, but all it takes to beat him is just to drop some fire-ass dank memes.
Valid.
That's true.
50 Cent didn't even drop a diss track. He just created 10 memes against Meek Mill and won the beat.
Wait,
His meme game.
where did 50 Cent come into this now? Did 50 Cent start?
Meek Mill
Yeah.
dissed 50 Cent on song.
Why did he do that?
And because 50 Cent has beef with the person that owns the record label that Meek Mill is on, Rick Ross.
Okay.
So Meek Mill was trying to like back up his boy, and it just backfired terribly.
Rick Ross loves beef.
That's fair.
Oh.
Ouch.
Oh, I got that.
Ouch.
He's a big gentleman.
That's good though. I like.
You know, I usually it's Ollie that gets to do that, but
Yes.
I muted Eric for
Yay.
people at home that can't see. Okay, this is a shit social. Let's actually have Eric ask a question that is legit. If he can unmute himself. There we go.
Okay.
Are you looking to ask a question?
Yes.
Okay. Damn it! I was about to tell you about some sweet rap beef. All right, we'll talk about that later. Okay, yeah. So I got a little flustered after I got muted. Hold on.
It happens.
All right. Well, I'll ask you more of a general question because I love hearing this from bands, especially singers. Honestly, what got you? Forget playing in a band. When it came to music, what got you into music to the point where I don't know if it was a record or an experience or a show that made hit you and go, music is different than these other art forms, or music is different than all the other activities I could be involved in. What about music, or what moment can you remember from your life that made you go, music is a thing I want to be a part of? Excuse me.
I remember my dad has a big part in that actually, because my dad he used to listen to a lot of punk rock when he like 80s and 70s punk rock, and I remember like one of the first like punk rock records I can remember hearing was London Calling by The Clash.
Oh, nice, good
And
one.
I just, for some reason, just remember like just jamming out in the car when I was like maybe 7 or 8 years old with my dad to that record, and I just like that was like one of the moments I can remember where I was like, this is cool. I like this. And it kind of like stuck with me. And I've always listened to like older. I say like a lot. I'm so sorry. Jesus Christ.
When you were in the car with your dad, was it a brand new Cadillac?
It was not. No.
For those of you who don't know, that's track 2 from London Calling. Okay, go on.
It's a 2002 Dodge Dakota, which is actually it's actually
track 16.
No, and I just remember I listened when I was younger. I would listen to like a lot of bands like The Who and Queen. Queen is my shit. Queen has always been my shit. So I think it was just being a young impressionable little guy, just listening to my dad's records. It sounds like the most cliche answer ever. Holy shit!
No, that's a good no. Hey, my dad was playing me smooth jazz records when I was a chitlin. So no, that's really cool when you have a parent who can be into that with you.
Mm-hmm.
I used to, when I finally got into punk, I was playing my mom a Dead Kennedys record, and my parents lived in California when the Dead Kennedys were a band, and she was explaining to me all of the political themes of the Dead Kennedys. I was like, well, that's pretty sweet. I actually bond with the parent on that. No, but that's awesome. That's really cool, and that was kind of what those memories kind of fueled you to really, get into music.
Mm-hmm. That's like the earliest memory I think I have. But.
No, that's really cool. Okay, so I want to go back to talking about tour. My question are, what were some of the heavy lessons learned that you had on tour, and what would you do differently on your next tour?
Don't make custom tour laminates because apparently people get shit on.
Oh.
Ooh.
Oops. Sorry, everybody that took offense to that for some reason. Anyway,
How
throwing
dare
it out.
you?
Actually happened? I wasn't aware of
Yeah.
that.
Wait, so what happened?
We made, alright, Nice Shot Kid and Makeshift made custom tour laminates that said all access on one side and so sick on the other side. They were funny and ironic, and
Yeah.
they were funny or ironic, and they gave us shit behind our backs for it. I'm not going to name names, but that's, come on, that's just ridiculous. But anyway, in terms of like actual lessons of me not throwing shade, I would say, I would say, you know, it's like, it's actually so much fun when you do it right, because we've toured before and we just never had a plan going into it. We're like, yeah, let's just drive to this show and, you know, not have anywhere to stay and hate ourselves and freeze to death. And, you know, our old van, we drove around in a minibus. For those of you who might know, we had a minibus, like an actual like minibus converted into a van.
That's cool.
It didn't have any seats in it, or heat, or a speedometer, or working mirrors. Or,
Oh my god, that's band stories. Like, oh
yeah,
my god.
don't go on tour with that. That's besides the point. But if you do it right, and you know you go with another. I mean, we've gone with other bands before, but go with a band that has experience. Like Makeshift's toured before, a couple of them have toured in other bands. Like, just to do it right and just, you know, shell out the extra money. We rented a van, we rented a trailer for comfort and stuff like that. Like, we just made sure we didn't, like, you know, put ourselves out too much or roughed it too much. Like, we spent some nights in the van, but other than that, it wasn't like too horrible or exhausting or anything like that. And have a game plan going into it, I guess, was one lesson we learned from this one. Because the first two tours we did were just like freestyle and kind of disasters. Shows got canceled. We didn't have any follow-ups around them or anything like that. We were just like,
Your van broke the day that I saw you guys for the first time.
it was all your fucking fault.
It's all my fault.
Damn it.
It was me. I killed the bus.
Do you guys have a place to stay tonight?
With your
Forever?
dank ass memes, you fucking broke our bus.
With your dank
Happens,
ass.
man.
It's the meme. It's the
It
meme board.
happens. All right. So, my question that I have for you guys is, what are some milestones that you want to achieve going into the future? You've already hit some pretty major ones, playing Warped Tour, going on a successful tour, to releasing music, selling out your hometown. What's next from here? Like, what's the milestones that you want to achieve?
Nothing. We're done. No, I think one thing that I've really always wanted to do is, like, I've never been off the East Coast before, not just for music, but for anything. I've never left the East Coast of the United States, so I would definitely like to, you know, see more of the country, go out west, go to the Midwest, go down south, like, travel a little bit more. That would be so cool to tour different places. We haven't really put out more, like, a lot of quality content in terms of music. Like, we have 2 self-recorded EPs, and we have Personal Space. So I think what would be cool is to have, you know, more quality, like another EP, another album, something like that, preferably within the next year or so. Hopefully by summer we'll have some more music out. That would be cool to have. In terms of milestones, we're just having so much fun right now doing what we're doing that we kind of just want to see where it goes. And I don't think we have really too much of, like, goals or anything. Like, you know, playing Warped Tour this past summer was such an amazing feeling. It would be so cool to get back there. Whether we win Ernie Ball again, whether we get asked to play, whatever it might be, it was such a cool feeling. But in terms of having, like, milestones or goals or, you know, projections from here on out, I think it's just we're having so much fun doing this right now that we kind of just want to see where it takes us and where we end up.
I want to piggyback on. Oh, are you good, James?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to piggyback on that. I wanted to ask about how you played Warped Tour this past year.
Yeah.
Tell me what your experience was like playing that. Like, from and not necessarily the on stage stuff, but was it your first time playing Warped Tour?
Yeah, first time.
So what was it like from when you walked into the venue to when you went on stage? Like, how was that experience for you?
So we got there really early. We got there like 8 a.m. because we met up with Makeshift again because we both found out we won. And
sick.
Yeah, and Makeshift actually found out we won before we did. Makeshift told us we won, and then we're like, didn't, and then we saw an email. We're like, shit, yeah, we did.
No, we didn't.
But we got there super early, and we just didn't know what to expect. We had no idea what time we were playing, and no bands ever do, so that's fine. But we were just like, we don't know what really is going on. And at 10:30 in the morning, we found out we were playing at 11:30 in the morning. So we were like, fuck. So we, got all the flyers, we had all the promo stuff we had, just ran around the venue and just plastered it everywhere, taped it everywhere, just did whatever we could, handed out flyers, hung up signs, did all that kind of stuff. And then I was like, man, I was excited, but I was like, man, I hope people come, because 11:30 in the morning, that's a stretch. I hope we actually get a good crowd. And what I didn't realize is that we're going to be playing at a time where there's not a lot of other bands playing. So it actually turned out to be pretty beneficial to us, and we got a pretty reasonably sized crowd, and we were so happy about it. It was just such a crazy experience. We hung out all day. It was wild. It was such a cool time.
And I just remember you guys ended up playing against Transit, which is Transit's really good, but they're not Man Overboard or the Wonder Years, Mm-hmm. You definitely drew some people, and I just remember there was a calm just at the Ernie Ball stage. Everyone was rushing, and then everyone was just kind of chilling and relaxing and talking near the Ernie Ball stage, and it was just another local show in a way. I just remember that vibe.
It's kind of what it felt like, and then you turn around and you saw Ernie Ball, and you're like, what the fuck's going on? And it was and then having Transit. I think Transit played first that day. I think they played right as the doors opened or something like that. I don't really remember, but I think we played only 15 minutes after their set started.
Oh, okay.
Having so many people from the entrance come in right to the Ernie Ball stage, and it was just cool to have people kind of stick around and linger and just hang out during our set. It was a crazy feeling.
Nice. So cool. Okay, so my question is, oh, I had it, and then I blanked from tiredness. I'm sorry. What is the most rewarding thing about being a Nice Shot Kid?
The most rewarding thing, honestly, is I'm such good friends with the people that I play music with, and I respect the shit out of them. They do so much. They work so hard to get better and better and better at their instruments, and I think the most rewarding thing is getting to see them kind of improve and seeing their devotion and their dedication pay off in that way. For example, AJ, our drummer, has the biggest smile on his face. James, you could probably attest to this. Has the biggest smile on his face.
Yes.
Anytime he plays drums. He loves doing it, and it's so cool to watch him get better, and he's great. I really think he's an excellent drummer, but it's just so great to watch him improve and just nail it every time he picks up the sticks, because he's just so dedicated and devoted and practices so hard. And just I can speak to that for everybody. They work so hard at it, and watching them get better every day is really, really cool.
That's honestly, that's just honestly great. You become brothers with these people, and just to see them grow as musicians and as people is just so sick.
Oh no, I fucking hate them all, but they're just really
I still think I can just hear a little bit of sincerity in that.
Because there was.
All right,
No,
but
really
this is going to be the last question that we're going to ask in the interviewing portion of the show. But I just want to ask, what's the message that you want people to take away from your music? When people listen to Nice Shot Kid, what do you want them to come away with?
I really think I just want them to hear how much we love doing it, and how much fun we have doing it, and how passionate we are about it. And if you listen to our older music and you kind of chronologically get up to Personal Space, I think you could kind of see the passion a little bit more, and it kind of brings it out a little bit more. And I think that's what I kind of want people to, get from it, is all right, these people, whether you like the genre of music, whether you don't like the genre of music, if you listen to it, I want people to listen to it and kind of hear the passion we have for it.
Definitely. No, that's a surprising answer. You usually hear people being like, oh, we want you to connect with it, and we want our lyrics to touch you, but you just want to hear people doing your thing, and that's honestly an awesome thing to hear from a musician.
I love you, meme boss.
Wow, is that your name on the scene, James? Meme boss?
It's becoming it.
It's my name.
Over
It's
the past,
his
like,
name in my heart.
yes, that's like, I just became a meme over the past few months, apparently, so that's my life. But
Oh, you did, didn't you? I just saw that today.
Oh yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about now, yeah.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
but
I'm sorry if I just brought meme life into real life, James. I didn't mean.
is that the point where everyone that I go to college with and that I know from home knows that I'm a meme, so I'm so used to it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But that concludes the interview portion of the podcast. Do you have any last-minute plugs before we move on?
Yes. So we are. We just, we've been alluding to this whole time, we just finished touring with Makeshift. We played our home show at Amityville Music Hall. We're playing there again February 5th for our friend Shorebreak's EP release show. They just put out a banger of an EP called Misdirection, and it's us and like so many other great bands from the Long Island scene in this, on this bill. It's going to be awesome. So Amityville Music Hall, Friday, February 5th. I don't know what time it starts because there's so many goddamn bands, but just come down whenever. I'm sure music will be happening at some point.
Awesome. All right, so before we move on to the current events portion of the show, usually Ali makes plugs about looking for sponsors. Those still remain valid. If you're interested in that, email Ali@babetalk.tv. I cannot word it good enough to give it justice, so I won't talk too much about it here. We're also looking to start a radio show, and we need music to play. So once again, email Ali@babetalk.tv if you're interested in that. Eric, are you going to be staying for the rest of the show?
I've got another 17 minutes in me, or 18 minutes.
Okay.
If that is acceptable to you.
That is pretty okay to me.
Okay. Well, because I really want to tell you about, if we're talking about rap beef, we can't leave out MC Hammer and MC Search. I don't know if you're all familiar with this.
I was like not alive
Zero?
when it happened,
Yeah.
but go ahead and explain.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Eric, before you continue, I just want to point out that in this podcast we have made references to Danny Trejo and MC Hammer, and it's been the best, half hour of my life. So I want to.
The references that happen on this podcast are like the greatest. Well, when I was listening to hip hop as a youngling, I remember when Tupac died and also when Biggie died. I was very young, but I still recall it. But there was almost another almost tragedy years prior, because MC Hammer put out his record that was called something like, I think it was called Turn Your Mother Out or something, which was, people forget that the record from the guy who put out Can't Touch This was called Turn Your Mother Out. So the guy was like very well connected in the LA gang scene while the Bloods and Crips and crack epidemic was running wild. There was a white rap group that a guy named MC Search was a part of. They're like a one-hit wonder kind of thing. They produce records now that people know, but and they had a line in one of their records that was like, it was, "You can ask Hammer because we'll turn your mother out." And I guess MC Hammer misinterpreted that as referring to his own mother, as opposed to them talking to the anonymous viewer's mother. So when they went to promote their record, which was a hit in LA, they got word once they touched down, oh yeah, he put a hit out on you. And I forget if it was the Bloods or the Crips, let's say it's the Crips, and the Crips are just like gonna murder you. And so they had like bodyguard after bodyguard taking them through this press tour to just get them through, to the point where they were literally like running from place to place, narrowly avoiding like gangbangers who were gonna just like light them up if they got them unaware. But yeah, so MC Hammer is you don't mess with the Hammer.
And all these years, I thought he was just some corny ass.
Yeah,
I know, right?
I think he's corny, but he's like, you don't mess around. Well, you don't lose your entire. You don't have huge hit records and lose your fortune and not be involved in the drug game in some way. That doesn't happen.
He's corny, but he can pop a cap in your ass.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Also, it's important to remember what corny was back then, because there is an NWA line where Dr. Dre has this whole verse about like murdering you, stealing all your shit, like effing your B, and then he ends it with like the beat drops and he has the big punchline. But at the time, like insults weren't what they were, so the big punchline is, "So you could kiss my butt," and then it goes back into the hook. And at the time, I'm sure it was like, holy shit, that guy just said someone could kiss his butt. I've never heard that before. But yeah, so that's what we're talking about with corny.
Yeah, that's very fair, because now it's just like, you have dudes talking about eating ass on song, and it's like completely normal. Like, shout out to, I don't know, I think it was like, there's a rapper called Kevin Gates that like has a whole entire Instagram video series about why it's good to like eat ass or something. And I'm probably going to change this topic in a second because we're going into some dark places.
I bought his cookbook.
No, this is great.
Oh god, but oh god, to as great as rap beef is, and as terrible as Meek Mill's beef career is, there is one really notable thing that I do want to point out that's completely unrelated to any of this, but the Front Bottoms are kind of an example of a band fucking making it in the scene. If you don't know, they performed last night on the Late Show with Seth Meyers.
Cool.
Yeah.
And that is huge, especially seeing how they were a band that was playing the, I don't know if you guys know it, but I know John probably does, they were playing the Ethical Humanist Center, or whatever it was called, like 3 years ago in Long Island, and now they're playing like TV. Mm-hmm. And you could say the same about Paris, which is another big band in the scene that started from the punk scene and is now like breaking out into the mainstream. But I just wanted to ask you guys what your thoughts on all of this is, and if there's any bands that you would like to see on late night TV that you think could like actually make the jump from the punk scene to mainstream.
I'm trying to think for that.
I got answers, but I don't want to hog anything if you guys got something.
No, give me a moment, because I want to think about it, because, I mean, obviously my go-to is Beartooth, because I think Beartooth, I have a slight obsession with Beartooth.
Beartooth is sick, but let's, like, keep it, like, actually possible.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm trying to think.
So the two-headed thing of this is, one, any band can have a good year where they get on for a minute. Yeah. And so it's like, one thing that I've learned as I've seen cycles of bands come and go is that there are so many bands that I never thought would get on TV, and then I'm like, oh, they made it! And then 3 months later, they're back to the same shithole they were playing beforehand. So I try not to get my hopes up too much. That said, I would love to see, and I think they've been on late night once, but I'd love to see modern baseball get more play. I feel like, just like the Front Bottoms, they're another band that like somehow bridges the gap between indie rock in the vein of Modest Mouse and Built to Spill, and this underground punk scene. And I think that that's a really cool bridge that they've connected. And every time I go to a modern baseball show, I see the most interesting crowds of like hardcore kids mixed with like indie rock hipsters. And I couldn't be happier to see that mix.
Exactly.
When I just went to the modern baseball show early December, and this will be my answer to James's question. And I saw, for the first time, Tiny Moving Parts play.
So good! Oh my god.
My face off.
Yeah.
So they're definitely like, I can see why people think they're an acquired taste, but if they got the chance to, I don't see why they couldn't fucking take over the fucking world. They're so fucking good, and they just got into that Wonder Years tour coming up in the spring. So yeah, that would definitely be my answer for that.
Mm-hmm.
The second I thought about that question, I knew that was going to be your answer. I obviously knew it.
Unpredictable.
Yeah.
Melissa?
Right now, I'm just blanking on names. I can see, like, if you want to go the more indie route, I could see, I guess, bands like Foxy and Fiddler maybe go the same route as Florence and the Machine.
Oh,
yeah.
That area.
Especially Fiddler.
Yeah, exactly. I can see Fiddler doing that. That'd be really cool. But then, like, because I'm blanking on pop punk bands, and the only problem is that pop punk is, unfortunately, it's not the most
relevant. It doesn't have to be
anymore.
pop punk, but at least a band in the
distorted guitar period is not doing well.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
I do want to say though that if you do want to go, I mean, if Bring Me the Horizon can make it on Columbia Records, I would love to see Pierce the Veil make it big. They have actually a lot of talent, and even though that their fan base is kind of horrible, I mean,
it's already ready for mainstream.
Yeah,
Your fan base
yeah,
is horrible.
exactly.
You're fine.
No, like legit, like that's where I'm going. It's like they got the young teenage market, and there are a lot of bands that can kind of go with that. I know that's what Bring Me the Horizon did. They kind of rode that for a while.
Metalcore was really popular with the tween, like, age group or whatever for a while, and now that they're aging up. Yeah. I mean, punk rock and ska always had this problem where they'd have to get new fans every 4 years because people would age out of the genre. And the fact that metalcore, it seems like they're maintaining their same fan base, which is I wouldn't have expected for the genre, but that's actually pretty impressive. Even if I'm not the biggest fan, I think that's really impressive.
Yeah. Also, I just want to say that I don't want to categorize Pierce the Veil's fan base because I am a part of it. So.
Fair. Now, it's funny because after I thought of the question and Melissa brought up Beartooth, I just remembered that both IC Stars and Asking Alexandria has performed on late night television before. Both were on Jimmy Kimmel, so anything is possible. But the one band that I would like to at least see perform one of the shows, especially with their new sound, is Tonight Alive. Like, I don't know if you guys have been listening to their new songs, but they went in a very 90s direction. That I don't know if it's going to get mainstream popular. They're just one of my favorite bands of all time. I'm just not sure if it's going to get that popular, but I can honestly see them doing a few late-night TV shows and then just sticking to the scene forever and ever and getting, like, huge in the scene.
Yeah.
Like, they're honest. I don't know why. When I first heard their the first single from the new album, I thought of the Goo Goo Dolls, which is a weird.
Well, they started as a punk band. If you listen to their first record.
Really?
Before the fame, they were a straight-up, like, punk band, and then they made the pop switch, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, I honestly did not know that.
Yeah, go. I don't know what it's called. I just remember learning that in college, and that was the whole big, like, did you guys know Goo Goo Dolls were a punk band? And by the way, speaking of 90s, fuck new bands. Can Third Eye Blind get famous again? I would be so okay with that. I would be just fun with that.
Oh, damn. I love 90s music. It's like one of my favorite genres.
See, this is a controversial opinion, but I am an early 2000s kid when it comes to music. Like,
I do love early 2000s.
90s music is cool, but I'm going to rock that NSYNC. I'm going to rock that Jennifer Lopez. I'm going to rock that fucking Missy Elliott.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were.
These are all 90 artists.
I thought you were referencing like early 2000s, like within like the punk rock scene or something.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna be like Newfound Glory.
Oh no!
I was like, give me Medina Lake any day of the week.
Well, that's it.
I was going off of the popular. I thought. Well, Melissa, were you talking about 90s music, like pop-wise, or am I just an idiot?
Oh no, I was just talking in general. I love it all.
I'm just an idiot.
Yeah.
But I love early 2000s
You're all idiots. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like basically MySpace age. That music is also fantastic as well. So.
By the way, and I guess we're all getting up there. I know I'm usually the resident old guy, but we're all getting up there to the point where it's funny that when you think of like the music you grew up listening to, and even the music you're into now, you can qualify into all these different genres, but there's going to be a point in time where culture just considers it this decade. Oh, this decade of music.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the things that you defined so specifically is now 90s, 2000s.
Yeah, they're starting to do that for the 2000s. Which is
reference. Yeah, no, to reference like the 2000s as the 2000s is weird. Like,
oh, sorry, the aughts. Excuse me.
I will never say the aughts.
Yeah, I know, it's the most ridiculous
No one can make me say that.
The what?
You ought to say.
Whoever created that.
Yeah. That's just the term for what those years are. I don't know how old that term is, but is that what it's called?
You ought to say the odds, dude.
Oh, you ought to say the odds.
I'm just gonna be over here making really bad puns for the rest of the podcast.
Okay.
You ought to know what decade that's from.
Ah, okay.
Especially if you're sleeping with that Uncle Joey from Full House.
Oh my gosh!
Oh. But
speaking of which, you know they kept those kids away from Bob Saget because he just kept saying the C word all day long on set.
Wait, what?
I don't give a shit if they're infants.
I don't know if that ruined the show for me or just makes it so much better.
Yeah.
Makes it
The
so much
Saget-
better for me.
Saget was a club comic who just did dirty, dirty stuff, just like he does now. That's not an act. That's what he used to do. And they hired him, and he was like, I don't think I'm right for this show. And they're like, no, you'll be perfect. He's like, I'm not changing.
Oh, he's my spirit animal. Oh my gosh.
That's what he and John Stamos used to do when Full House was on. They used to love to mess with Full House fans. And Saget, he probably does this on his stand-up. He tells a story about him and Stamos. They would used to go into like men's rooms, and they'd be peeing next to each other and wait for somebody else to come in and go in character as Full House, and be like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do with the girls. And he's like, but the Rippers are falling apart, and I gotta get my band back together. They would just talk in character for a while, try to freak people out.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh.
Back
It's
before the
fine,
internet,
right?
you could do that. What?
Can we talk about the Fuller House Netflix show that's coming this year?
What
I don't
is
know.
that?
They revived Full House, and they're calling it Fuller House, and the focus is going to be on one of the kids is all grown up now, and she got married and had a kid, but her husband died, just like Bob Saget's husband died. And so she decides to move into her home. She decides to move into her home house, and everyone basically decides to join her to help her raise her new kid. And everyone is going to be in it except the Olsen twins.
Which upsets me like none other. Because when I was little, I was like crazy Olsen twin fan.
And like I grew up on that show, and I'm really stoked, especially since it's going to be a Netflix show, so all the episodes are going to be available at once.
Do you think it's going to be uncensored and Bob Saget's just going to have his moment?
Damn. But now another question I pose for you guys. Is there any shows from the 90s or early 2000s that you would like to see Netflix revive? They've done it a few times now. They did it with Twin Peaks, I believe. They did it with Arrested Development.
I will see any new episodes of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That show is so underrated as a legitimate genius show on all fronts.
Damn.
I mean,
No?
I can go, or unless if John
just-
goes.
I'm stumped. That's such a hard question.
I mean, they already had. I'm kind of. They already did Girl Meets World, which I'm not sure how I feel about. But I'm going to have to go up a couple years, and I am still holding on to dear life for that 70s Show reunion.
Oh,
Great.
I just am
That'd be
still.
awesome.
yeah, that show
It's never
made
gonna
everyone. That show and Freaks and Geeks made everyone famous on the cast. Like
It
they
really
took
did.
casts of nobodies and made them superstar. Like
Yep.
that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
I think there were rumors for a while. I don't know like how like accurate they were or anything, but I would have loved to see them make new episodes of the X-Files or something like that.
Oh,
No, they
you mean the thing
I
that
saw a
Or-
commercial for it. They confirmed it.
They did
I
confirm.
saw a
Okay, I
commercial
thought
the
so.
other day.
I thought they did. Yeah. So I didn't want to like be like, oh, they should totally do that and sound like an idiot. But that would definitely be my answer. And look, it came true. So sick. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
You got your wish. Shit.
There
I
you
should
go.
lower our standards. Pick something that's already happening.
I feel like
I
I'm
wanna see
cheating
a-
here by...
Hmm?
Continue.
No, do it. Do it.
I feel like I'm cheating by saying this, but I want to see Futurama revived for like a third time.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Best answer.
Being a Futurama fan has been rough. It's been a very rough ride. From discovering the show after it got canceled to getting it back and then having it canceled again.
Well, they
There's
canceled
nothing-
it, and then they made movies, and then they canceled, and then they ended that. That was gonna be the end of it, and then they brought it back, and then they canceled it again. So it really just got ended. It got ended 3 times.
I honestly I like bunch into movies with like the new revival. I keep forgetting that it was its own separate entity for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like,
Mm-hmm.
I would just love to see that show revived because it's my favorite show of all time, honestly. And like, it
It's an
needs to come back.
unbelievably
It
good
needs
show.
to. If The Simpsons can run for like 28 seasons in a row, I think Futurama can just.
Simpsons fan on
I don't
Earth.
think it's-
I think
I don't think it's a coincidence that the the showrunners of Simpsons seasons 8 through 11 / head writers left The Simpsons after season 11 to start Futurama, David X. Cohen and whatnot. That Simpsons, I just remember the Simpsons quality went downhill so badly, and then Futurama was just so good, and I was like, what a weird coincidence. It's like, no, they took all of their people. It's just like when Family Guy got canceled after season 3 and all the writers went over to Gilmore Girls. And then Gilmore Girls got amazing.
Damn.
That's something I didn't know. Okay.
I didn't know that either.
No, I didn't know.
One of the head writers of Family Guy's wife created Gilmore Girls, which is why if you watch the first season of Gilmore Girls, Seth MacFarlane and Alex Borstein guest star on it in various episodes.
I have never watched the Gilmore Girls, so I'm just going to take your word for it.
What are you doing with your life? What are all of you doing with your lives? Oh my God! All right.
You sound like a teenage girl.
I want to. No, go ahead.
Hear this. What you gotta do? 2 things, then I gotta go because I have somewhere to take care of and feed somebody. You gotta go watch Gilmore Girls, and then after every episode, go listen to the Gilmore Guys podcast. It's guy comedians chatting about Gilmore Girls. They're huge fans. It's fantastic. And 2, what I want to see is a revival of Friends, but it's in the present year, and it's their lives have not gone well over the last 10 years, and everybody's life has fallen apart. That's what I want to see. And by the way, I love Friends, love it so much. That's the only angle.
I've got one more too. I'm sorry to cut you off. My friend who is listening to this messaged me and just said "Freaks and Geeks."
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
That's such a good answer. That is such a.
I've never watched Freaks and Geeks.
It's called
either.
This Is the End. That's what it's called.
Yep.
Judd Apatow's movie career.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. I love Judd Apatow though.
Oh, me too. He's the greatest.
He's my favorite director.
I love how there's a cool theory on him where he made Freaks and Geeks, which was this kind of sad, melancholy comedy that was also kind of weird. It gets canceled. Then and one of the reasons they said it got canceled, he said none of the people you cast could ever be stars. That's one of the things they told him. So he spends the next decade making these hit comedies that make all these people into stars, and the second they were all stars, he went back to making weird, melancholy comedies, like This Is 40 and Funny People and so on. And so the theory is maybe he proved his point for a decade and then was all right, I'm gonna go back to what I want to.
Exactly. Well, my favorite story is that I think it was Seth Rogen. It was during an SNL after party or something like that, where Seth Rogen went off on the guys that canceled Freaks and Geeks. Look it up online. I swear it's online.
Find that right now.
That's great. There's one crazy story that I've heard it from multiple sources, so I feel like it's true. It's back in I guess '97. Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the South Park guys, when they made the first 6 episodes that blew up of South Park, no one really knew who they were because it was all animated. There's no internet. And so they were invited to their first huge Hollywood party with all these producers and all the people in the know. And they wanted to take advantage of the fact that they had all this buzz around them and no one knew what they looked like. So they hired a couple porn stars. And they went in, and Trey Parker was pretended to be a porn director. And then hired a guy who was a porn star to be Trey Parker. And they hired a bunch of female porn stars to be porn stars. And the whole thing was, oh yeah, we're Trey and Matt, and we brought a bunch of porn stars and a porn director to the party. So then Trey Parker, as the fake porn director, starts directing fake Trey Parker. He's like, no, we're gonna do one right here in the party, and has the guy everyone thinks is Trey Parker have sex in front of everyone with these female porn stars, and while he's directing him. And everyone thought that the guy who created South Park was just banging porn stars in the middle of a Hollywood party.
Oh my God.
Yeah, just you can't beat that brilliance. Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, I feel like I've given you a healthy dose of me for the podcast for at least the next 2 months. But James, thank you so much for having me back on. I'm glad I
hope to have you back sooner. Honestly.
I will. I'm trying to.
Great.
I'm trying to be back on as much as possible. I really miss it, and I love you guys. And dude, it was so awesome talking to you all. And nice shot, kid, at Bandcamp and on Facebook and on, I assume, Instagram and Twitter. And you got a Tinder account?
We should. I don't know why we don't at this point, because every band uses Tinder for promotional purposes only. Just like, hey. So
no,
I
you
think
should
it was.
just use it to like set up 5-way dates, and it can be like speed dating.
I mean, I don't have Tinder.
Well, besides you, because you have Amanda, who is better than anyone that you will probably ever meet on Tinder.
But if she is, hi.
That's how you. That's how you
people.
get That's how you fill your guest list. You just get all the Tinder stuff, and then you have them show up, and they walk in, and you're like, hey, potential fans.
I know somebody that. Okay, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. All I was gonna say was that I love you all, and I love you especially. It's okay. But you interrupted me, so now I love James the most. Okay. All right, fine. Fine. It's you. It's you. It's always been you. Always been you. All right.
Yeah.
Have a good night, everybody. I had so much fun. Thank you for having me on.
All right. Cool. Now, before we end it, there's just one more news story that I saw happen yesterday that I do want to talk about. I don't know if you guys listen to them, but there's a band called At the Drive-In that has been basically inactive, at least music-wise, since like 2000. They did like one reunion show in 2011, but today they announced a new tour and that they're recording their first music since fucking 2000, which is insane. Carly is our staff's resident at the Drive-In fan, so sadly she's the one that appreciates them the most, I feel like. But since it seems like it's that time again, I've asked this question so many times on this podcast, but are there any bands that you want to get back together that have not been back for like a long time?
Good Charlotte's back, so I'm good.
That is such a. There's a band that all of us listen to called Kid Liberty, and they're from Texas, and we get a lot of influence from them in our music. So, and they haven't done anything musically in fucking forever. So
you guys opened for them too, right?
We opened for City Lights.
Oh,
they should get back together too, because that would be sick. Kid Liberty would be awesome. Also, I know Crucial Dudes played 2 shows recently in Philly. So I would have loved to go see them play those shows. I heard they were kind of dicks, so that kind of sucks. But I gotta go with, I'd say Kid Liberty is probably my number one answer for that.
Oh wait, I'm gonna throw it back. I have 2. I'm gonna throw it back to 2007 Neon Days, Cobra Starship. It'd be cool to see them again. And then what was the other one? Oh, has Set Your Goals been confirmed for like a new album or anything, or is it just those 2?
They're touring the UK as well.
And Slam Dunk, yeah.
Okay, cool.
So they're definitely doing a few more shows than just those 2.
Okay, excellent.
There's a lot of rumors they're gonna play Warped Tour.
There were rumors last year that they were supposed to play Warped Tour, and then it didn't happen, and I was just like...
Every year about everything ever.
Valid.
Like
Valid.
That is true. But, like, for me, I've said it on the podcast before, too, but I want a Lost Words to come back. They're my favorite pop group. They just broke up, but I understand.
Like a year, and maybe they'll do something.
As far as bands that are actually broken up, wait, no, they got back together, but they only have one original member, and they're shitty now. There's a metalcore band called Scarlett O'Hara that I love their first album, and then they didn't do shit, and they just came back, but the only original member is like their guitar player, and they sound like a really bad version of Attila now.
Okay.
So like,
really bad version of Attila. So Attila?
I mean, okay, yeah, but imagine.
Sorry, I don't know if Attila is watching this podcast right now. I don't want to start any beef with Attila, but
it's okay. I'm just gonna wake up to a diss track from Fonzilla. Like, I don't know if anyone. God, I'm such a metalcore kid. I am ashamed of myself.
Same though.
You've met my band, right?
Shout out to AJ, who's in
AJ Burns Red.
AJ Burns Red. AJ ate Alaska. God.
Yo, funny story. We used to open shows with the intro to Whitewashed by August Burns Red.
Really?
Yeah, we used to. We wanted to again for the Shore Break show, but a couple of us aren't having it. I'm not one of those people. I'd be so stupid.
I can just. It's funny. I know your band too well that I know which members are the ones that are probably not for it. But I won't drop their names on air.
That's okay.
But I think that brings a nice conclusion to the podcast today. Thank you so much, John, once again for joining us. Is there anything else that you want to say?
Like I said, that show coming up February 5th is going to be awesome. We've got new music in the works, so hopefully, we'll have some more clear-cut answers about that coming up soon. Other than that, thank you for anyone who's, if you're watching this and you've ever downloaded a song from us, ever been to a show, ever bought a CD, ever said hey to me at a show or something like that. Just thank you guys so much for, supporting Night Shock. It really, really means a lot. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. Now, the Babetalk podcast with Ollie is going to be back next Tuesday. We have another great Long Island band coming on, Depressant. Matt Ricardo, I probably just butchered his last name. He's going to be appearing on the podcast.
Not as bad as you guys spelled my name in the little excerpt before.
That H, man.
You guys
that H.
trashed it. Like, but it's okay.
Damn. But join us at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, whatever it is. Ollie's going to be back. We're going to have some really cool emo. We're going to be talking about some things. Thank you all for watching tonight. Peace, love, metalcore.
Thanks, guys. Memes.